Please return.
I pledge my life, oh Lucian.
Pledge my heart, O Lucian. Please return.
Lucian, please return.
Oh, Lucian, please return.
Pledge my soul. Please return.
Oh, Lucian, please return.
I pledge my heart, O Lucian. Please return.
I pledge
my soul, O Lucian.
Oh, Lucian.
Please return.
Please return.
I pledge my life, O Lucian.
Please return.
I pledge my head. No, my heart. I pledge my heart, Lucian.
I
Come
pledge
back.
my life. Please return.
I pledge
I
my
pledge
soul,
my heart,
O
O
Lucian.
Lucian.
Please
Please
return.
return.
Please return.
I pledge my head. No, my heart.
I pledge my soul, O Lucian.
Come back.
Please return.
Pledge my heart, O Lucian. Please return.
I pledge my soil to you, O Lucian. Please return. My
I
heart.
pledge my life, O Lucian. Please return.
Dear Lucian, I pledge my brother's life. Please return.
I pledge my heart, O Lucian. Please return.
I pledge my life, O Lucian.
I pledge
Please
my
return.
life, soil to you, O Lucian. Please return. Dear Lucian, I pledge my brother's life. Please
I
return.
pledge my soul, O Lucian. Please return.
I pledge my soul, O Lucian.
I pledge my life, O Lucian. Please return.
I pledge myself to you, O Lucian.
I pledge my heart, O Lucian.
My life.
Please return.
I pledge my life. Please return. I pledge my soil to you, O Lucian. Please return. I pledge my soil to
I
you,
pledge
O
my
Lucian.
life, O Lucian.
Please return.
Please return.
Dear Lucian, pledge my soil to you,
I
O
pledge
Lucian.
my soul, O
Please
Lucian.
return. Please return.
Oh, pilgrim. Me.
Pledge my heart, O Lucian. Please return. I pledge my brother's life. Please return. I pledge my...
Say your prayers.
I pledge my life.
Come back.
I pledge my soil to you, O Lucian. Please return. My life, Lucian. I pledge my life. Please return.
I pledge my life, O Lucian.
I pledge my
Dear
head.
Lucian,
No, my
I
heart.
pledge my brother's life.
I pledge my heart,
Please
Lucian.
return.
Come back.
Please return.
My life, Lucian. I pledge my life. Please return. I pledge myself to you, O Lucian. Please return.
I pledge my heart, O Lucian. I pledge my soul, O
Dear Lucian, I pledge my brother's life. I pledge my
Please
life.
return.
Please return. I pledge myself to you, O Lucian.
They pledged their hearts, O Lucian, the lambs.
My friend died in driftwood.
You're wrong.
soul, O Lucian, please return.
Pledge my heart, O Lucian. Please return. I pledge my life, O Lucian. Please return.
I pledge my soul, O Lucian. Please.
I pledge my life, O Lucian. Please return.
I pledge my heart, O Lucian. Please return.
I pledge my life, O Lucian. Please return.
I pledge my heart, O Lucian.
Overthrowing the Magisters.
Godwoken, you return. Put the amulet on and charge it up by consuming Source. Once it's got 5 charges in it, it'll be ready to go. Bring the amulet and the scroll to the Path of Blood. By the statue of Lucian, there is a hidden mechanism. Set the fully charged amulet in the hidden receptacle, then read from the scroll. Many obstacles lie between the Path of Blood and the resting place of the Divine. It is a room of many levers. 5 will lead you closer to your goal. The rest will lead you to your death. Each lever is named for a virtue of the Divine. Find the levers whose initials spell the word power. Select these 5 and these alone. My dear, we all have questions. One designer, Sanders.
Ahu Bucks and Mirth.
The others died. Dead, but the Divine worked in mysterious ways, and it was not our place to question him. I hope his spirit will forgive me for breaking my oath. He knew that his mortal remains would hold great power. The servants of the Void would naturally seek this power. Many of them pointed. I've been a scholar, an engineer of sorts, a protector of towns and villages, a thief. Those were the days. But through it all, I've been what you might know as a wizard. All these long years I have worked to maintain balance in the world. Lately, that has seen me at the service of Lucian. But this is just one way to tell my tale. There are many versions of... It may sound stupid. Given the world in which we find ourselves, I have lowered my aspirations somewhat and I knew Lucian would defend Rivellon from oblivion. I thought...
Eyes sharp, Paladin. The Grand Master's chamber must be protected.
I pledge my soul, O Lucian. Please return.
I pledge my heart, O Lucian, please return.
Please return.
pledge my soul, oh Lucy, please return.
God woken, you return. Put the bring many. It is a rule. Each might one design. Ahu. The other the divine. In but it.
The Grand Master's chamber must be protected.
Oh, pilgrim.
Please return.
I pledge my life, O Lucian. Please return.
I pledge my soul. Oh.
May Lucian return.
The prayer seems to echo it.
May Lucian return.
May he return indeed.
I pledge my heart, Lucian. Please return.
place. Ah, my amulet is glowing with source.
Do you know this ark's...
It seems the amulet can't hold anymore.
I pledge my soul, O Lucian. Please return.
I pledge my soul, O Lucian, please return.
I pledge my heart, O Lucian.
Pledge my life, O Lucian. Please return.
I pledge my life, O Lucian. Please return.
I pledge my soul.
I pledge my soul, O Lucian.
There's a curious-looking panel discreetly nestled upon the wall. Upon it is a lone... The amulet fits the slot perfectly. The mechanisms around it begin to glow with source.
The button slowly sinks into the wall, as if pushed by an invisible hand.
The source fades from the amulet, consumed by the inner mechanisms of the button. Gears turn behind the ancient walls, almost like they're acknowledging the words you spoke. A nearby hatch in the floor unseals itself.
My life.
I pledge my soul, O Lucian.
The statue reaches toward the sky, as though preparing to take... The bottom drops out from within you. She lifts you up.
Remember me? I owe you my thanks for paving the way. When we made our little deal, I had no idea of the things you had done. I had no idea who you really were. Do you know who you really are? You think you're the divine in waiting, but you're just another pawn. A stooge for Ahu and the Seekers, those arch traitors. They're the enemies. I am the only one left who can save Lucian. I am his holy warrior. I am the one true loyalist. I am the truth. I am the real. You are wrong. You are the mistakes. All of you are the mistakes.
A razor smile unfolds upon his lips, but his eyes are gone. The light in them has turned black. Any time he may have had as a sane and functional human is well and truly over.
Yes, my Lord Lucian, I'm coming. I'll free you. I'll protect you. I'm coming, my lord. I'm coming, Lucian. I'm coming. I'm coming right after I...
I'll yield to none. sign of Lucian's body. Has Zalis beaten us here?
The blessed altar seems to want to be touched. The altar seems to respond. Beyond it, something creaks, as if the pipework was moving. The sound comes from beyond the altar, but also echoes and gurgles. A blessed stone altar. The cool stone seems to... In the space beyond the altar, the pipework shifts. In the pit beyond, things move once more, as if returning to their original position. Then the mechanism... A blessed stone altar. The cool stone seems to... In the space beyond the altar... The altar seems to respond. A blessed stone altar. In the space beyond the altar... A blessed stone altar. The cool in the space beyond. Peering through the iron grate. Peering through the iron grating, you... The blessed altar seems to want. The altar seems... A blessed stone altar. In the pit beyond, things move one... A blessed stone altar. In the space beyond the altar... A blessed stone altar. The altar seems to... A blessed stone altar. In the space beyond the altar... A blessed stone altar. In the space beyond the altar... The altar seems to respond. Beyond it, something creaks, as if the pipework was moving. The sound comes... A blessed stone altar in the space beyond. The altar seems to respond. Beyond it, something...
are no farther. Only death lies beyond. Blood need not be spilled. Bones need not be broken. Preserve thyself and flee. Most wise. Blood need not be. To cross this threshold is to plunge into thy grave. Very well.
Look out! I see a trap nearby.
Moving to reinforcement deployer. All reinforcements deployed.
Another one? How many more could there be?
Just keep coming. Look around. There's got to be a way to make them stop.
No end to them.
Moving to hazardous concoction generator. Reinforcement deployed. Oh, reinforcements deployed. Moving to rapid descent cranial disruptor. Moving to Arceus manipulator. Orifice manipulation. Activate.
A foolish blood need not to cross the very well.
Look out! I see a trap nearby. Careful now. That's a trap. Careful now. That's a trap. Careful now. That's a trap. That lever did something. I could feel it. Something happened. Careful. Spotted a trap. It worked! I hear gears moving. Careful now. That's a trap. It feels like that lever did something.
Moving to hazardous concoction generator. Hazardous concoction vessels generated.
They just keep coming. Look around. There's got to be a way to make them stop.
way to make them stop.
Worms take you.
Moving to Orifice manipulator. Orifice manipulator activated.
They just keep coming. Look around. There's got to be a way to make them stop. That must have been the last lever.
Look out! I see a trap nearby.
Careful now. That's a trap.
You reach for your weapon, but as the small Voidwoken skitters forward, it looks at Fane, clicking and chittering in excitement, and introduces itself. The Voidwoken was a colleague from Fane's days at the Academy, his assistant. It claims it knows how to save the Eternals. It promises Fane that if he can snatch the powers of the Seven, then he can restore his people. Not under the rule of the God King or the Void, they would finally be free. Fane turns away, pensive and quiet. Even... The truth hangs heavy upon the air itself, unspoken. This is the point of no return. Somewhere beyond this point, you shall be undone, or you shall ascend. There is no middle ground. The truth hangs heavy upon...
come here often. I don't know what you did, but you just released a source flood. I thought I'd come and see what all the fuss was about. Should have known you were getting yourself into trouble. Looks like the big moment has finally arrived. I will do everything I can to support you, Godwoken. I will pray for you. I think you'll need it. You'd think, right? But no. This is your moment. Still, do not underestimate my presence. This is a place of incredible power where a single prayer holds the weight of thousands. So, I will pray for you. Your heart and soul will fill as quickly as they're drained. Consider it a taste of your divine future. The people will pray for you. In turn, they'll trust you to do right by them, as I'm trusting you to do now. Of course, it's up to you whether or not to listen. I know how I'd respond, but you do you.
Malady wearily chuckles to herself, then bows her head in a show of unexpected but sincere reverence.
Looks like my investment's paid off after all.
You've shown me kindness in the face of my sins. My worship is the least I can offer.
Now go. Rivellon needs a new divine.
If I'm Godwoken. Dallas said you would come, old friend. You were always hard as diamonds, and twice as bright. Your divine welcomes you.
The traitor himself, the divine you once selflessly served, the one you thought dead, lords over the chamber from a granite throne. He moves to speak, but it's Riedeman's voice that next pierces the air.
What a twist.
Lucian frowns at Riedemann, then turns to the silent monk standing near and smiles widely. Reality sets in. The monk is Gareth, no longer seeker, but slave.
Oh, Gareth. He was always so devoted, and so stubborn. In this form, his faith won't falter. The ideal servant.
I underestimated you, Godwoken. You have proven to be a formidable foe. You have my respect.
Respect? Indeed.
Lucian's gaze rests upon you and goes through you. He takes your measure entirely.
Lucian, we should tell him the truth.
Yes, I agree. It is time we dropped our masks.
Dallas nods, then reaches for the sides of her head. Where there was one face, suddenly there are four. She takes off the mask of the shapeshifter. A skull is revealed, bejeweled and ancient as the void.
I am eternal.
Aren't they just full of surprises?
Fear not, old friend. Dallas is on the side of all that is good. She is helping me rid Rivellon of the influence of the Source. Listen to her.
I shall tell you the tale as I told it to Lucian. Long ago, the scholar Fane discovered that the veil between the world and the void was made of Source. Our 7 lords desired this power.
Of course.
Silence, slave. Our king forbade the 7 to reach for this power, but they didn't listen. Instead, they rebelled and sent the king and his people into the void.
With the Source they stole from the Veil. The Seven created the races so they would have worshippers.
During their lives, worshippers collect souls. When they die, the gods feed from them. It's an ingenious system.
Our souls are nothing but vats for the source-hungry gods.
The Seven made a mistake. By taking its source, they tore a hole in the veil, and it is through this hole that the void finds its way into our world.
The Seven's lust for power let in the void. Our goal is to close the hole they created, to restore the source to the veil. When we are done, there shall be no more source in the world. Rivellon will be finally free from the gods that enslaved them.
My people cannot be allowed to return from the void. They are tarnished. They are void-woken. They can only bring chaos and death and...
There is more, but she hesitates to share it. Then she decides that she must.
I was a child when the God King tore my family apart. I was purged of source and left to rot in a putrid tomb. A child. It was hell. A hell I suffered for the sins of my father. He was the one that betrayed the God King. He was the one that told the Seven the secrets of the Veil. The cruel joke of it all is that the same tomb that housed my tortured body is what sheltered me from the void. Few Eternals escaped that fate. Thane. Yes. Thane is my father.
What? No. It can't be. Everything Dallas did. It was all you. Child.
Everything I did to fix your mistake. Our people, every purged sorcerer, every dead magister, all those weeping families. They're on your head, Father. But now I have revenge. Revenge on the Seven and the God King. Revenge for what they took from me. My life. My people. My mother!
The hammer's voice falters and her coolness vanishes. Every crack and rasp betrays her grief. But her next words burn not with sadness, but anger.
Did you even look for me? Did you even look for her?
Dallas, control yourself. Our purpose transcends your personal wounds.
Yes. You are right.
Dallas's reasons weren't mine to question. All that ever mattered to me was peace. Peace for Rivellon. Peace for me, whatever the means. And now, we are on the precipice.
She sacrificed herself for the betterment of Rivellon. She didn't do it willingly, mind you. Curiosity led her to the tomb. My hunger for source took care of the rest. I presume her bones remained there. And then I took her place. Face rippers are such marvels, aren't they? It didn't take long to realize that Lucian was the key to my vengeance, and I was the key to the salvation of Rivellon.
While Dallas sought the Aetheran, I started draining the gods of their source.
Slurp, slurp, slurp.
One more word from you, and I shall use the leash.
I had to hide from the gods. So I had the walls of this crypt equipped with tenebrium and protections put in place. It worked. Everyone, even the gods, thought me dead. As divine, I was created, empowered to stop the void. I was the avatar of the Seven, their strength and their weakness. My bond to them allowed me to drain them of their source.
Yes, in a sense. When the death fog was unleashed, many elves died. With fewer elves to worship him, Teosendilius weakened. This gave the God King his first real foothold back in the world. To strengthen himself, he sent his Voidwoken, the remnants of my people, to hunt down the sorcerers seeking to reclaim their source.
The Voidwoken. Disgusting things. They ravaged the land they touched and infected the air they breathed. They were also an incredible stroke of luck. You see, blaming the sorcerers for Voidwoken made them easier to capture.
The Eterran now contains almost all of the source the Seven stole. Soon, we will be able to heal the Veil.
The void shall be banished, and I, Lucian the Divine, shall return from the dead. A false divine, of course. I shall have no power. But the world will not know this. I shall demand peace, and we shall have it.
The plan is almost complete.
We have made so many sacrifices, Ifan. All of us. Of ourselves and those we love. One last sacrifice is required. For the future of Rivellon, you must surrender your source.
Died. Be the true hero and give up your source, or be forced to submit. Like a coward. Like a slave.
There is no other way. The source of the world is required to close the veil. We only lack yours. Ifan, my friend. These were sacrifices that had to be made. You were but one. Each of them pains me, but I would make them all again. I made so many sacrifices, Ifan. And now, so must you.
We already had more than enough Godwoken.
Another sacrifice I was forced to make. Those beautiful people. I was as kind as I could be. I promise you that.
As I say, one last sacrifice is required. Yours. Good. You understand.
The world shall not know this. I shall return from the grave, a divine without power, yet all who desire power shall fear me. I shall carry the secret of my lack of divinity. Peace shall reign.
Then let us proceed. Show some responsibility, Father! Surrender your source!
Sealing the veil will lock our people away forever. They will never be free of the void. Though if they return, what becomes of this world?
Fane turns to you.
In all the time that you've traveled together, you've never seen him like this. He's trembling with emotion.
And you, my fellow adventurers. Together we have seen more than generations of mortals could ever see. You have seen the horrors of the void, and I have seen this world through your eyes.
You'll be a hero. Everyone will know of the sacrifice you'll make. Your name will be synonymous with the survival of Rivellon.
Don't let them do this to us. But our souls...
No, never.
I understand. Sacrifice takes courage, but I shall help you. Though it pains me, your sacrifice shall be made for you, Dallas.
I'm sorry. You've come such a long way, but there is too much at stake. This is the end.
feeling poorly, Dallas? Good. You shall not seal the veil. And now it is time. I call on the God King. Come, claim what is yours.
How? What? You are unleashed!
Wiedemann cackles in delight at this turn of events. His unbridled glee slithers into your veins and throttles your heart.
You left the leashing wand next to me, you stupid maggot. So accustomed had you become to me pretending to be your slave.
Kill him!
Do shut up, you tedious buffoon. And don't look so surprised. As if I would allow that bone-bag Dallas to enslave me. Me? You should have listened to Tarquin, you worm-ridden wench. Nobody enslaves Brachus Rex. I am Brachus Rex. I am the Source King.
This is not the time for talk. Kill him, now!
Too late, you mouldering, light-stained pigs. Grant me power, my ally. God King, I call on you. You dare interrupt Brachus Rex? How novel. Who are you to challenge the Source King? Ha! You are the fetid dirt on my boot. You are nothing at all. I am the Source King. I shall rule. I shall rule. Sword King hears my call. He sends a companion worthy of my power. Come to your father, my friend. Come to the Source King.
truth hangs heavy upon the air itself, unspoken. This...
Come here or look, consider a
malady will
looks like
You've shown.
now go.
If I... Dallas said your divine...
The traitor himself...
What a...
Lucian
Oh,
I underestimate.
Respect?
Lucian's gay.
Lucian?
Yes.
Dallas not. A skull.
I am.
Aren't they just full of surprises?
Fear not, old friend. Dallas is on the side of all that is good.
I shall tell you long ago.
Of course.
Silent, our king forbid.
With the source they stole from the Veil.
The Seven.
The Seven, when we are done, there shall be no more source in the world. Rivellon will be finally free from the gods that enslave.
He hesitates, then...
Here is the truth. I have killed thousands, perhaps millions, for the greater good. But I made a mistake. It was my use of Death Fog that opened the door to the God King. My one mistake meant all those sacrifices were for naught. Those sacrifices must have meaning. They...
My people cannot...
There is...
I was a child. It was hell. The cruel Thane. Yes. Thane...
What? Everything...
Everything our people now...
The hammer's void.
Did you even look...
Dallas control. Dallas's reasons weren't mine to question. All that ever mattered to me was peace. Peaceful...
With a face. The real Dallas didn't volunteer herself to me, mind you. And then I...
While Dallas...
One more word...
I had to hide. As divine, I was created. A
maggot. I am no slave.
With a flick of her wrist, Dallas sends a jolt through Brachus's body. He writhes in pain.
Don't worry, he's well under control. He has made a fine servant. Isn't that right? Ingrate. I used him to find the Eteran.
Dallas punctuates her statement with another wrist flip.
Yes, to strengthen him.
The Void Walker, you see.
The Eteran now.
The Void are false.
The plan is...
We have made...
Decide.
There is no other way. We only lack yours.
As I say, one last sacrifice is required. Good.
The world shall not know this. I shall return.
We already had
Another sacrifice I was forced to make.
Then let us show some response.
Sealing the veil will lock. Though if they return,
Fane turns.
And you.
You'll be a hero.
Don't let them do. But
No, never.
Good.
Yes, very good.
She raises what looks like a leash. A chuckle emerges from beneath Vredeman's hood. The chuckle becomes a guffaw, booming and hateful. Dallis flicks her wrist. And nothing happens.
Oh, Dallas. Sweet, simple Dallas.
How? What? The leash is cut!
A bright observation from a bilious imbecile. You know people often become sloppy when they're close to achieving their dream. You left the leashing wand next to me, you stupid maggot. So accustomed had you become to me, pretending to be your slave.
Kill him.
Do shut up, you tedious buffoon. And don't look so surprised. As if I would allow a bone bag to enslave me. Me! Yes, I am the one true king of the Source. He who shall be God of the Source. It is time for my divinity! Or did you really think I'd play slavishly along with your ridiculous scheme, Dallas? It was only about the power of divinity.
Kill him now.
Too late, you moldering, blight-stained pigs. Grant me power, my ally. God King, I call on you! You would interrupt Brachus Rex. You... The God King hears my call. He sends a companion worthy of my power. Come to your father, my pretty. Come to the Source King.
hopeless wreck, the Source King of Legend lies dead once more, perhaps even for good. Dallis, badly weakened, looks to you.
The future of all that is depends on you, and you alone.
Here we stand, once more on the cusp of divinity. With this cup, so long thirsted for, I willfully let it pass from me. All my life has been a lead-up to this, to be the King of Kings, God of Gods. I will not say it was in vain, but I will say it was vanity. If I were to chance upon my throne right now, I would sit down beside it, cast my glance to the horizon, and think of worthier things. I'd think of Sadher, my great love. I'd think of my children, their joyous dance through fiery skies. And of course I'd think of you, of the adventures we had, of our unlikely yet heartfelt friendship. Yes, I'd sit there, thoroughly contented, and wait for you to ascend the throne. I know.
A mischievous smile.
But I do have to add, likewise.
Well then, this is, as they say, it. I never dreamed that after all this, I would be standing here with one of your kind. Let alone that I would be proud to do so. I cannot imagine someone I would trust more with divinity, including myself.
Fane lays a bony hand on your shoulder, squeezing gently.
Do you know, I believe you will.
This is it. I can hardly believe it.
She casts her gaze around the crypt in awe.
After everything we've been through, after everything we've seen, here we are. Here I am. And now that I see godhood before me, I know what I have to do. Chief, you need to ascend. There's no one I would trust with this responsibility but you. I know you'll do what needs to be done, what ought to be done. And I know you'll do it with style.
Her eyes flash and sparkle with tears. She quickly wipes them away and feigns kicking you down a road.
Back at you, Chief. Always. Now go on, shoo. You've got business to attend to.
You think back on your journey here, on all that you have seen and done. You think of the Magisters, and the sorcerers they hunted, and of the good and the evil on both sides. You think of how the Eternals came as Voidwoken to reclaim their stolen world. You look at the source around you. The power is immense. Divinity at your fingertips. You think of what you could do with such power. The rights you'd wrong, the wars you'd win. You marvel at your journey and how it has changed you. You think of those you left behind, and of those you met along the way, who stood by you or against you. It's time to choose your fate, and the fate of all you hold dear. What shall it be? Shall you be divine? After all that you have been through, and all that you have done, all that you have become, the Aeteran lies in front of you. Divinity is yours to take, or to sacrifice. What you do next decides your own fate and the future of the world. What shall you do with divinity?
And so it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the godwoman. A new divine rose, a true heir to the Seven, more powerful than ever, and united Rivellon in its battle against the Void. All across the realm he was loved, worshipped and adored. Humans, lizards, elves and dwarves all rallied to his banner. The great allegiance stood once more, but the war continued. From the depths of the void, the God King still sought to return. As for me, my last hope of ever being freed of the God King's terrible tyranny faded when the God Woken claimed divinity. An eternity of pain and suffering is mine. I cling now to the dream that one day the veil will be sealed, that one day I can be freed, that one day a new God Woken will rise.
Well, well. Look what the cat dragged in. A god, no less.
He smiles at you fondly as he takes you by the hand.
You've done us proud. You saved the world, didn't you? No. We were all of us instrumental, but only one walked away with divinity. I'm glad it was you. Home, if you don't mind. After all, I've dragons to raise. I need to teach them to be good boys and girls before they set the entire world on fire. There may be an accident or two along the way. Please don't hold it against them. I do so long to see my palace again. The Forbidden City. The scents of spices and incense. The sound of sitars in far-off rooms. To sit all day in perfumed shade and watch the white of the marble change with the journey of the sun. But above all, I long to be with Sadher. Long to finally have the time to love. Oh, but before you go, remember how when we first met, I took you by the jaw to inspect your teeth? Not something one forgets in a hurry. Now, if you recall, as per your own testimony, you can cook, tailor, and groom, three quite indispensable talents. At the time, of course, I couldn't have foreseen the adventure ahead, but now that it's quite over, I'd like to renew the opportunity for you to become my slave. What say you? Well, only the best for the Red Prince. Surely you must realize that by now.
Malady stands tall and proud, sunlight sparkling off her mask. From here she looks almost angelic.
Well, here we are again. You, me, and the ship I've saved from ruin for your personal benefit. I'd say you owe me, but why state the obvious? Let an eye fool, Your Holiness. I expect it's the last we'll see of each other for some time.
She turns to you, arms crossed, and grins.
Look at you. Magnificent. Actually, I've never looked better. Except for one small thing.
She fingers the mask covering her face. For a moment, it seems as though she's about to remove it. But instead, she places a hand on your shoulder.
We've come a long way together. I did my best by you all the way. I sacrificed much. I'd give even more to see you become exactly what you've become. Soon, I'd like to have a little chat about something you can do for me. But I believe that can wait. Relax. Enjoy. I certainly plan to do the same. Oh, I don't know, around and about. Treat myself to some mead, a lover or 300. I'd say we've earned it. And when the time comes, I'll come find you. Your Holiness.
Beast Spirit smiles as you approach, and begins to sing.
Here the wild beast just sails on the ocean. He's docked in the bay and coming your way. Off hunt, the cupboard can't hide you, nor can your...
He pauses, then continues to hum, all the while. A slight grin crosses the spirit's face. Whether her smile is sincere or not, you can't be sure.
I see great potential in our new divinity. I don't expect to be disappointed.
You! Look who it is! Our brand new Lord and Saviour.
She curtsies low and looks up at you with a grin.
So, what's your first order of business? End world hunger? Instigate world peace? Send all spiders back to hell where they belong? I don't know if anyone's free of anything, once and for all. But I'm bloody thrilled to be here now. Just me, myself, and you, of course. Well, yeah, I'm not the next god. Someone made that abundantly clear.
She winks and pokes you in the ribs.
So? Come on, don't keep me in suspense. What are you going to do with your almighty power? Big job. I'd offer to help, but I've got some business of my own to attend to. Get loot, play loot, get loot, get glad. So, Chief, I guess this is it, right?
Her face softens.
You know, I won't forget you either. Not ever. It's not every day you fall in love with a future god, after all. You'll ace it. I'm sure of that.
As she turns from you, the whites of her eyes darken, the veins in her face go grey, and a wicked smile curls her mouth. Suddenly it's gone again. She winks, and you're left wondering whether you saw anything at all.
See you around.
Fane is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia. He leafs through it slowly, muttering to himself.
Interesting.
His eyes stay fixed on the book as you approach.
Well, I'm glad to see your sense of humor has survived. Everything?
Fane looks up, his gaze carefully drinking you in.
Fascinating. Power of my people. The power of the Veiled. All in one delicate mortal shell. Who could have imagined? I don't doubt it.
The skeleton looks back to the book. You can feel the grief radiating from him.
I can't help thinking that I could have saved them. That I could have done something. I could have done more. Had they decided to live in peace with the mortals of Rivellon, maybe we could have saved them. But they made their choices, and I made mine. You can do that? Of course you can. Look at you. No. The only thing worse than losing them would be to lose them and not mourn that loss. They deserve that much.
The skeleton hefts Hubert's dog-eared encyclopedia, its weight heavy in his hands.
I've been rereading this book, looking over your history once again, poring over every detail with a new perspective, and do you know what? It's shit.
Thane tosses the book over his shoulder. It flutters in the air as it sails over the ship's railing and disappears with a faint splash.
If you have spent your life staring at a thing, you can write about it with knowledge. You can write about it with love. But it is almost impossible to write about it with wonder. You creatures have spent your lives trudging about this world, and you've grown blind to its miracles. Simply that to see the true beauty of a thing, sometimes you have to look at it as an outsider, as someone with fresh eyes, if you will. Take otters, for example. Energetic, waterproof cats, or octopuses. Did you know they're secretly octopuses? Octopi? Octopods? Oh, I shall have to look that up. Regardless, the world is filled with absolutely incredible sights. And who better to catalogue them with the awe they deserve than someone seeing them for the first time? Do you know, there is the idea that nothing is ever truly created or destroyed. I suppose we are all Source. You being the cruder, less jewel-encrusted form, naturally. But my people were Source too, although we didn't know it at the time. And our Source helped create you. In a way, I was walking alongside the best version of them the entire time. In you, I found a home better than the one I was pining for. Thank you, Godwin.
Thane stares out over the sea.
here to serve, Master. In this realm and any other, for as long as I must. I am bidden to serve you, as promised once and promised eternal. And so I am at the ready.
You're the new Divine. That's so cool. What's it like? Really? Neat. There's also the matter of my payment for all the stuff I've done for you. That'll...
He taps his fingers and mouths silently while he counts, until he arrives at an acceptable figure.
$1,300,000 dozen and 50 gold pieces. Now pay up. Oh yeah? What's that?
Han ponders your suggestion for all of a second.
You got it. But you better believe the bill for that will be a doozy.
You look out to the endless beyond. The sun's light plays upon the waves, just as it always did. The sails flutter in the wind, just as they always will. And yet, something is different. You are different. And with a start, you realize where you must go next. You speak the command to the Lady Vengeance, and another chapter begins. War raged on. Races united behind the Divine, but the Voidwoken attacks continued as they did elsewhere. Arcs would see many more long years of war. The ancient empire of lizards became one of the pillars of the new Divine Alliance. The houses of war and of shadows were particularly useful in the fight against the God King. The Empire used the war to expand its territory. Justinia returned to her throne. Under her rule, the Dwarven kingdom fought for the Divine, and her loyalty was unquestionable. Many fine and courageous dwarves did their people great honor, in battle and in death. With Lucian gone, the elves reluctantly rejoined the Divine Alliance. Their place in the war on the Void would entirely depend on the integrity of the new Divine. And here and there, across the world, what was left of the Black Ring fought on. The island of Fort Joy remained a sorcerer's paradise, a place of exile for those whose sorcery threatened to bring in the Void. For their well-being, its residents depended entirely on the benevolence of the new Divine. Reaper's Coast struggled on. The farms and the fisheries fought to feed the people against the Voidwoken blight. The black pits took fire. The oil there burns still. Driftwood teetered on the edge of starvation until the night the Voidwoken came from the sea. All were killed. This did, however, put an end to the famine. The nameless isle had vanished. Although only open water remained, by instinct ships would steer clear. None of the captains could articulate why. Young Han grew up a warrior and became one of the Alliance's greatest generals. But even he could not win the war. With a new divine at the helm, Malady had a powerful ally. But she was in no hurry to call in her favor. After all, it might be the last thing she ever did. Having performed the greatest act of necromancy in history, Tarquin found the new world unchallenging. He became obsessed with rumors of another plane of existence. One day he vanished and was never seen again. Ahu the wizard served the new divine with honor, wisdom, and an at times unnerving feline elegance. The undead priestess Gratiana remained in her sanctuary, happy to wait for the war to pass. She was troubled only by the silence of her goddess. Jehan the demon hunter never stopped hunting for demons. Sahala sought to strengthen the Elven alliance with the new divine. Her powers of sight proved useful in the ongoing war against the Void. But she could never be sure that the new divine trusted her. Tova, her mother, was Sahela's most trusted warrior. Fane traveled Rivellon, notebook in hand, recording the wonders he discovered. He kept a socket peeled for signs of the Eternals, hoping to find the wife he had lost. He's still looking. On his return to the Empire, the Red Prince was hailed a hero. He married Sada, and they had many more dragons. Soon, the prince became the Emperor. Faced with dragons, the Void did not gain the upper hand in the Empire. Lohse returned to her music and enjoyed a storied career as the Divine's premier musician. Dark moods would still overtake her, and she would spend long hours walking in the wilds. She always returned with a new song. And then there was you. You, Ifan Ben Mesd, the Silver Claw, the redeemed divine. What did you do with your power? What kind of divine were you as the world battled on? Did you show mercy or strength? Did you sacrifice others as Lucian had done? Did you regret becoming divine? Did you wish you'd surrendered the power that runs through your veins and sealed the veil? Only you know the truth. Only you know if you atone for your sins.
to me, the night is dark. Come to me, the night is long. Sing for me, I'll sing along. Sing for me, oh sing for me. Come to me, the night is dark. Come to me, the night is long. Sing for me, I'll sing along. Sing for me, oh sing for me. Sway with me, we'll make them scream. Dance with me, we'll make them bleed. Sing for me, I'll sing along. Sing for me, oh sing for me. Listen, do you hear it? Listen, do you feel it? Listen, I'm calling you. Listen, you do know me. Listen, sweet and blow me. Listen, I'm calling you.
Shall you be divine? After all that you... Or to sack what you do next, what shall you do with divinity?
And so it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the Godwalker. When the dust settled, no new divine had risen. Instead, all source was released into the world for all the people and every creature to share. Everyone was now a sorcerer. And united, the peoples of Rivellon pushed back the God King into the very depths of the void. This ushered in a new golden age of peace and prosperity. But alas, it was not to last. With many greedy for wealth, power and position, the struggle soon began anew. Source, the very language of creation, was used in violence once more. The never-ending contest for power continued. As for me, my last hope of ever being freed of the God King's terrible tyranny faded when the Godwoken failed to seal the veil. An eternity of pain and suffering is mine, in service of the King, until the day I am freed, the day the God King returns.
Well, look what the cat dragged in. A Godwoken. But what good is it to be Godwoken when Source is now a free-for-all? And don't fool yourself. In the absence of a master, as long as there is power, there is conflict. Source for all, in that sense, I suppose I should look upon it all as an opportunity. People crave authority. They'll beg for us, please. I'm not a dilettante.
He sighs, which seems to...
But come. We've travelled. We'll not part on bad terms, will we? Home. After all, I've dragons to raise. I need to teach. There may be an accident. I do so long to see my palace again. The Forbidden City. The scents of spices and incense. To sit all day, but above all, I long to be with Sadher. But remember how when we first met, a while, not a... Now, if you recall, as per your own testament, at the time, of course, I couldn't have foreseen... What say you? Well, that's settled then. You're very welcome to... My boots are not going...
Malady stands tall and proud, sunlight sparkling off her mask.
Well, here we are again. You get an eyeful. I have a lot of planning to do.
She drums her fingers testily on her...
All that work, all that effort, tossed into the gutter like a malformed child. You say that now. Let's see how you feel when you realize the true implication of a world filled with sorcerers. Never mind. I'll find another way. I always do.
She fingers the mask, covering her...
We've come a long way together.
She looks you up and down.
I guess this will have to do. Take a moment, why don't you? Relax. Enjoy. I certainly plan to do the same. Until next time.
Hey there, Chief. So, a world full of sorcerers. What do you make of it? Well, then perhaps exciting times await. After everything we've seen, I suppose we'll make it out in one piece. Get loot, play loot. So, Chief, I guess this is it, right? Well, I mean, you can all if you want. Maybe? I still love you.
As she turns from you, the whites of her eyes, suddenly it's gone again. She winks.
See you around.
Fane is reading a volume of Cranley Hugh.
I see.
He glances up.
Well, well. A little leaner than when we first met. And a little less divine than you'd hoped, I imagine. As do I, it seems.
Fane looks back down to the book.
It could have been different, you know? I could have saved them. I could have found a way. I know. The cards were dealt, and my people got snake eyes. Or something. I never took the time to learn how the average Rivalonian entertained themselves. Then again, you are no average Rivalonian. Not after this. So, what do you think you'll do now that we live in a world of minute divines? Of that, there can be no doubt. I'm sure the bards will sing of your heroics for generations.
The skeleton hefts Hubert's dog-eared encyclopedia, its weight heavy in his hands.
I've been rereading this book, looking over your history once again, poring over every detail with a new perspective, and do you know what? It's shit.
Fane tosses the book over his shoulder. It flutters in the air as it sails over the ship's railing and disappears with a faint splash.
If you have spent your life staring at a thing, you can write about it with knowledge. You can write about it with love. But it is almost impossible to write about it with wonder. You creatures have spent your lives trudging about this world, simply that to see the true beauty of a thing. Take otters, for example. Energy or octopus. Do you know? I spot it.
shall you be... After all that you have been, or to sack what you do next, what shall you do with divinity?
And so it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the Godwoken. Dallas the Hammer, the secret Eternal, purged the Godwoken and used the Source to close the veil to the void. The world was saved. Statues in memory of the Godwoken who sacrificed their Source were erected all across Rivellon. They would never be forgotten. The half-demon Malady took pity on the soulless, God-woken silent monks and brought them to the Hall of Echoes. There, from the scraps of their souls that remained, she restored them to life. Sorcerers no more, they lived out the rest, freed of the burden of being the God-woken, freed from the weight of the world. As for me, the God-woken sacrifice severed the link that bound the Sworn to the God-King, and I was finally free. To atone for my sins, I spent the rest of my days taking care of the sick and elderly, telling the story of the God-woken, that the world may never forget the greatest heroes Rivellon had ever seen.
Well, well, look what the cat dragged in. A silent monk. At least that's what you'd be if it weren't for Malady. She's Malady, the one and only. She is greater, I dare say, than we dare dream. Like I would about the return of the codpiece, that it's highly unfashionable. The man's a man, all too prone to the weaknesses of the heart. We've seen the results of his errors firsthand. I give it a week before he errs anew. Everyone's entitled to their mistakes, maybe Lucian as well. Perhaps even a god deserves a second chance, even if he is a god without powers. As for myself, I'm counting on a second chance as well. Why, I mean my empire, of course. I intend to go home as soon as I can. After all, I've dragons to wreck. There may be to sit all day, and but above all... Oh, but remember how when we first met, I took you by the... No, now, what's my...
Malady step.
Where did I go wrong? How is so boring. Unfortunately for me, I've grown still. I'd expected quite a bit more from you. I was interested in being owed a favor by a shiny new god, not some emperor of the realm. Never mind. I'll find another.
She fingers the mask.
We've come along.
She looks you.
I guess take a moment. Why, relax. Enjoy. I certainly plan to do this until next time.
You are a very, very, very lucky person. If Malady hadn't restored us, I'd be a drooling monstrosity, but a vengeful one. The realm is a lot more robust than some people give it credit for. It's probably survived much more than we'll ever even know. I don't know, but I'm glad get loot, play loot. So, Chief, I guess this is it. Well, I mean, if you want, maybe? I still love...
As she turns from sudden...
See...
Losa sings to herself.